Hi, this is Dr. MJ coming to you from beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. This is the Women in Dentistry podcast, where we feature women in dentistry making waves and leading the industry through the next decade. I am your host, Dr. Mary Jane Hanlon, a former dental assistant, dental hygienist, and now dentist. I am very pleased to introduce you today to Dr. Carolina Zella Vieira. Dr. Vieira has a strong background and experience in dental medicine, global environmental and public health, community programs, epidemiology, and teaching, an excellent fit for this position. She is currently the research associate and instructor in Department of Environmental Health at Harvard T.H. School of Public Health, working in the exposure, epidemiology, and risk program. Her scientific expertise is grounded in three main areas. First, epidemiology, looking at the interaction between environmental risk factors and their impact on the development and progress of chronic diseases, including oral disease, cardiovascular disease, respiratory and neurological diseases. Second, developing experimental and interventional studies to measure and reduce risk exposures to environmental contaminants. Third, preventive health programs to mitigate human health risks, especially in children. She has a wide-ranging interest in dental medicine, environmental public health, with a slight tendency towards cross-disciplinary and a touch of advocacy. When she arrived in 2015, she brought a project to the Harvard School of Public Health to investigate the interaction between environmental radiation, air pollutants, and their impact on human health. During her postdoctorate at Harvard, she participated in establishing the radiation lab under Dr. Koukakis in experimental studies to measure environmental radionuclides attached to air particulates and their health impact on different populations. It is now my pleasure to bring you to my interview with Dr. Carolina Zella Vieira. Carolina, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're crazy at Harvard, to come and be with us and be with the audience. It's really nice to have you here. If you would, please go ahead and start telling us your story about how you got into dentistry.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here and talk about a little bit about my experience in dentistry. My interest in dentistry started was in the end of my high school, and I decided, because I loved biology and I had hand skills. I loved do painting and all. So that's the reason I decided to go to dentistry. And I never thought about being a physician, because many dentists would love to be physicians. Wasn't my case. And then I applied for only the best top universities in Brazil. In Brazil, we had very good universities in dentistry. And yes, I'm glad I was approved. And yeah, that's when I started.
Okay, and then share with us how you came to be in the United States.
Yes. When I was finishing my dental school, I decided to investigate the link between periodontal disease and systemic disease. And then was the reason why I went through I directed to my PhD in cardiology in the Heart Institute in Brazil. And it's the largest heart institute in Latin America. And then the end of my PhD, I've heard about some infectious disease, a re-emerging infectious disease that was coming back, like scarlet fever, a swine flu that was coming from Spanish flu. And then I said something, the environment may be changing the virus and bacteria, and that's the reason why we are being reinfected by more pathogenic virus and causing disease that supposedly would be already, we had defense to them, but we don't. So, and this cyclicity, I got interested in understanding the cyclicity of re-emergent infectious disease. And that's why I found about solar activity and cosmic rays that is anti-correlated and solar cycles over the 11 years and 22 years. That may be the reason why this virus would change, because it changes also the concentration of the intensity of cosmic rays. And sometimes it can become high, and cosmic rays are ionizing radiation. So ionizing radiation can modify DNA. And so my first idea was to investigate, after my PhD, was to investigate the link between solar cycles, cosmic rays, and pandemics. But pandemics, the data of pandemics is very poor, because many people they get sick, especially before 1950s. Or even like 1970s, people got sick, and after days they went to the doctor. So we weren't sure exactly when people got sick. So it complicated a little bit my idea to investigate that. So I decided to investigate mortality rates and cosmic rays, and then to be able to do more for this research, I decided to come to Harvard. And I contacted some professors that could accept me until I contacted my current boss. And then he said, come, I don't work with that, but let's see what you can do. And since then, I came in 2015. I've been at Harvard. I came as a postdoc, and now I'm a research associate and instructor. And we've been working on the subject, and we've been very successful without doing any miracle. We found very good results.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting. So tell us a little bit, could you do anything with the information during the COVID pandemic?
Yes, we found something there too, but COVID is kind of a mystery, the way it appears, and so we still are not working on that. But in the future, we would to see if in fact it was natural, related to solar activity, or something that we cannot predict. I don't know. It's very, the way it came, it appeared. It's still a mystery. I think it's. We cannot assume that is natural or unnatural from my perspective. And so that's why we didn't insist. But we are investigating different health outcomes like cardiovascular, morbidity, mortality, heart rate, blood pressure variation, melatonin levels, respiratory disease, inflammatory disease, oxidative stress, everything we found significant associations.
All right, so just for my edification, as well as the audience's edification, what is it about ionizing radiation from the solar rays that affects our health? What happens?
Yes, in fact, the solar, it emits a broad range of electromagnetic radiation from non-ionizing, which it doesn't cause directly damage in our DNA. It only causes increase of the temperature from radio waves, into ionizing radiation, gamma rays, X-rays, when the sun is very active, when we have the explosions of the sun, and when we see the aurora borealis lights, we can be sure that this kind of high energy radiation is reaching the ground level. And in fact, we found, even for non-ionizing radiation, significant associations with, for example, interplanetary magnetic field. We found very strong link with adverse health outcomes.
For example?
For example, interplanetary magnetic field, we found for inflammatory markers.
Okay.
C-reactive protein, reduction of white blood cells.
Okay.
And we also found a recent for hemoglobin and red blood cells. that we're still working on this manuscript, but overall I found significant associations for all these inflammatory and physiological markers that can lead us to, in fact, if we think that we live here 100 years, 120 years, why we live all this amount? No matter what we do, if we are very healthy and if we do everything correct, we don't live more. If we don't smoke, so the sun, at some point, it controls the number of years we are able to live here through the oxidative stress.
Isn't that fascinating? So
it's amazing.
What kind of correlation have you found with, I know you were interested in the dental and overall health association. So where are you with that? Are you still doing research on that?
Yes. I worked as a dentist until 2015, until doing my PhD. I worked in parallel and doing my postdoc in Brazil. I also work as a dentist. And nowadays, we research the link between cancer and other environmental risk factors, including uranium, because we also investigate other kinds of radiation, including uranium, radon, and in Brazil. And we found in mining areas, when we had mining accidents, we found increased risk for cancer, oral cancer. And also we are investigating the link between fluoride and other systemic disease. So I've been working. I continue working in the dental area, and I'm very happy to do that.
Well, thank you so much for all that you're doing for us, because obviously not all of us research, and it's not my forte. So thank you for everything that you do to help us improve our outcomes and make things better. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so happy. And in fact, I have a friend in Brazil. She's professor in the dental college there, and she always invites me to be part of her program, and I still teach sometimes I teach her classes. And I was surprised when I mentioned this before, but I was surprised because during my PhD, I really was focused on the link between dental infections and systemic disease. And at some point, when they're coming back to that time, I said, I don't think I'm so important in this area anymore, because other professors in the US used to research that, like Offenbacher, Beck, they used to research that. And so, okay, they don't need my help anymore. So let's move on to another area. That's why I started to go into environmental health area and investigating radiation and the link between radiation and other risk factors. And then when I was preparing this class, I realized that this area mostly didn't evolve since then, since 2010. It stopped, and there is recent good papers, meta-analysis, but it's still, for some, the American Dental Association, it's not mandatory to patients to have treatment before going to a surgery or before going to some kind of medical issue. And it's not clear there too if there is a link between dental infections, periodontal infections, and systemic disease. And I really was surprised why it's still, because mouth, we have more than 700 million kinds of bacteria. And when we have infections, and why still not clear in the American Dental Association. Although in the American Periodontology, there they recommend the treatment of periodontal disease. But and then I said, oh my God, it's still, we need to evolve. And I don't understand why dentists don't care much. And I think it's and as I mentioned, we are not technicians, we are physicians, and we need to be very careful with dental infections.
I agree. I agree. And I had a recent patient who had some issues in her mouth, and they did relate it to some issues she was having with her ovaries and her, reproductive system. So it's interesting that this is now finally coming to the forefront. It has taken a lot, and I still think it's taking a lot for our physician colleagues to understand that, the mouth and the head is not
Oh,
separate
they
from the rest
won't.
of your body.
Yes, they won't, in fact.
I
I don't
know.
think they will. We should do, like dentists should push, because otherwise nothing will happen.
No, I agree. I agree. I do
Yes.
think that we're heading in the direction. I don't know if you know the American Association of AOSH, I forget what it stands for, but they are working steadfastly on integrating medicine and dentistry. And
Fantastic.
I could see us, within the next maybe 3 decades, who knows, I may not even be here, but in the next 3 decades, that medicine and dentistry will finally combine. And I think dentistry, the way it's practiced, it makes a perfect location for a primary care physician. So it would mean a complete overhaul of our dental education system to include the first 2 years of medicine and get all of the integration with the pharmacology, all those things that we do already, but we don't maybe have as in-depth courses as our medical colleagues, but they don't know anything about the mouth either. So
Oh, yes.
I think that integration and us being on the front lines and seeing patients on a regular basis every 6 months, it makes perfect sense for us to be the primary care physicians or the family physician for patients, rather
Yes.
than just their dentist and going to someplace else.
Yes. Yes.
So
I agree.
hopefully
That's
that will
good.
happen. Maybe not in our
Yes.
lifetime, but hopefully that's the direction that we'll go. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much. I mean, that's really exciting, the research that you're doing. I had no idea that the sun's solar rays, and I guess it affects everything, but I had no idea that it was going to affect our health as well. And so the research that you're doing is invaluable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I think is a basis of humanity. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so important. And even like comparing the link between air pollution exposures and adverse health outcomes, we found similar impact, even sometimes even stronger.
Wow.
So yes, and it's very important.
Okay. Well, tell us one thing people would be surprised to know about you. Let's switch to a little bit more personal information.
So I'm from Brazil. I'm from São Paulo. I have my mom's family is from Italy, and my dad's family half Portuguese, and I have German too, and I grew up in a health family. I've been creative. I have a creative nature. And I decided one thing that I think it can be useful for people. I really, when I was a dentist and I was doing my PhD, I really had in my mind that I want a dental office in the hospital where I was, because it's a very strong hospital. So, okay, I have my dental office here and I can do research for the rest of my life. And somehow my life changed completely, and I'm here at Harvard. So sometimes we plan things and we can't imagine what's going to happen to our life. And that's about I'm a faithful person. I believe in God, and I think God has always a good plan for us.
Yes.
And we don't, sometimes we got sick and anxious just planning. What I would say is we should do our best and the best will come. the best thing that I could say, and surprisingly even for me, because I really was everything that people say, oh, you should visualize, imagine your life, blah, blah, blah. I did everything and nothing worked. And thanks God, nothing worked because I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And you're doing this great research, which is amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We never know where we go.
No, we never do. Never know what tomorrow brings, and opportunities knock on the door all the time.
Yes.
All right. So obviously, I truly believe that you're a very confident woman. You have, you speak well. You've done amazing here in the United States. So tell us a little bit about how you grew up. Were you always confident, or did you learn your confidence as you matured?
I think for many years I've been out of my creative world, and when I started having more and more contact with family and friends, I've been an introvert kid, a mix of introvert and extrovert, and I think my confidence, for many years I tried to do my best in everything. And because I was insecure. So if I was very good in everything, like not very good, but doing everything that I needed to do, I did my dental school. I did specialization pathology. I was invited to be part of specialization in periodontology. And during my PhD, so I did everything that I could to really satisfy my self-esteem at some point that there is no competition. And I studied hard to be where I am now as studying solar activity, astrophysics, and health. I think that helped me to create a materialistic meaning of self-esteem because I'm grounded. It wasn't easy, of course, because but it wasn't easy at the beginning because we never know the price, like if we're doing enough and if we are, what's going to happen, and it's painful sometimes. We love starting and not finishing things. But I think overall, where I am now, I think my spirituality, because I meditate, I have a strong, I am Hindu. And I think after having all this knowledge, I can release everything and be self, like me, and feel that we are not in control of everything.
That is so true. That is so true. We are
so when we realize that, and we do our best, and we realize that we don't control the outcome, I think it helps a lot to be confident. And another thing that helped me nowadays, because after 40s, I think we realize that we are all human beings, no matter where we are. If we are the president or the lowest, we are human beings. And as a human beings, we have similar sufferings. We have similar conflicts. And it's not because I respect hierarchy. It's not about hierarchy. We won't respect the top. It's not about that. But it's just knowing that sometimes we suffer a lot about things relate to humans, but we are all humans, and we don't control the outcome, so it's okay. So we are not afraid anymore. We lose our fear when we realize that, for me especially.
That's great. Great advice. Now, what single best piece of advice have you received in your career? And from whom did you receive it?
I think my parents, not directly, but indirectly, helped me a lot because at some point they always pushed me to do my best. And true critics is not something easy. But at the beginning, we don't accept much, and we try to, okay, he thinks that, I will do my best to do it. I'm glad I didn't give up. because some people can give up because of the critics. And I think because of their critics, I was able to really try to do my best and prove that they were wrong. And at some point. So, and after all, I'm very thankful for them.
That's great. That's great. I think our parents are key at pushing us and making us better. I think that all parents, and I'll just speak for myself, I think we want our children's lives to be better than our lives. And, I had a pretty good life, but I wanted my daughter's life to be better. And so we work hard towards that. And if we are not inspired, if we are living in a world of fear all the time, we can't accomplish anything. And I do think, and I believe with you that, God controls a lot of things. And I think living from the inside out is so much stronger than living from the outside in. If you don't really care too much about what people are saying or thinking, and you don't pay attention to what they are doing, you just focus on your own life, I think you can go further faster.
Exactly. I agree completely. Yes. And another thing, my advisors too, they were great in my life. Like they helped me, small comments. And yes, I'm thankful for all my advisors. They were amazing. And yeah, I think it's, I believe in karma too. So past karmas, current karmas, we are always creating our environment, helping creating, not completely under control, but helping creating. And I'm glad I have a good karma of this life. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Who do you think has made the biggest impact on your life? Your parents, you think?
I think my mom. My mom was a very stronger woman, and she loved life. And she made a lot of sacrifice for us, although at that time we didn't realize much because a lot of critics too. Yeah. So we all, at some point, we always focus on the critics, not what's behind them. And yes, I think my mom had a strong impact in my life. So because I'm happy. She was afraid of, she always wanted us to be independent, like my sister and through critics. So, but was great for me. After all, I think it was fantastic, made me stronger and yes.
Push harder.
Yes, push harder. Yes, harder, too hard. Yeah. But I think it was great. Now I can see that. Yes.
Looking back, yes, it's not easy when you're going through it, is it?
No. Yeah, looking back, really back, because now even she passed away 2 years ago. So I'm glad, I'm thankful for her to have her daughter, to be her daughter, and to have her as my mom.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Now, do you have any challenges that you've overcome that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I think we always are not sure what we are going to do in the future, and I work with many areas. I work in the environmental health. I also have a mental health program that I coordinate in Brazil, where I teach meditation and emotional education for. This is the second part of the program. First was for teachers, school teachers of public schools in São Paulo state, and now we are teaching undergraduate students from a good university there how to apply this program and how to be this program and apply this program. And so I've done this for extra, like something good that I want to do for people.
Who made the biggest impact on you? Your mom?
Oh, the biggest impact, my mom, yes.
Yeah. Okay. How about a guilty pleasure or a secret dream? Do you have any secret dreams that you want to share?
Oh, yes. You were telling about the difficulties and of the dream. Difficulties, I think we never know what we are going through. Now I'm back more. because of my very intense schedule as here at Harvard, I wasn't able to do much for dentistry, and now I'm coming back. And I feel excited to come back and maybe also work as a dentist or something related in a university, to do something for dentistry. And I thought wouldn't happen. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. So we never know what's going to happen, and that's the most difficult part, because every career has some issues. Nothing is easy.
Right.
Nothing is like, oh, okay, it's great. Research, we have issues with funding, and the professor have funding issue, and funding sometimes come from the government, and the government has an agenda, and this agenda, if you are not fit on this agenda, it can be hard because you need to convince them that's important, and because people are busy. If there is no these keywords that they are most focused, they even don't care much about what we want to do, although it can be interesting. I think this is an issue nowadays for science. Innovation is being hard because there is an agenda. And this is pretty bad. I think science is losing a lot. Mm-hmm. And because, for example, some people ask me, oh, okay, you're researching solar activity, but what are going to change the sun? No, it's not about this first. It's about the human history. Mm-hmm. We don't know where we are first. We are in the planet, very vulnerable. If planets decide to just breathe, we are dead. And we are exposed to a sun that is 99.98% of the solar system mass. So, and we are very small planet, 0.0003% of the solar system mass. And first is a knowledge about humanity. Second, we may be able to mitigate the impact of solar activity. That's one of the idea of my research too. But and so it can affect the future of science and research. I think it's pretty bad. I don't want to say bad things about science because I love being a researcher and I love research. I really love. But it can limitate. And being a dentist, sometimes you get so focused in your dental office that you miss this whole picture. What is important too. So every career has some kind of issue that you need to deal with. And yes, I think that's the tricky part.
That's your biggest obstacle is overcoming some of those. Yes. How about a secret dream or a guilty pleasure?
Yeah, my secret dream, I really want to be a professor in a university. It can be a dental school or can be a environmental health, public health school. I am professor. I teach. I have students at Harvard, but I'm not a professor now. And it can be Harvard, but of course, I cannot say, oh, no, I don't want to. But I don't have, I want to work in peace, doing my research, have my lab, and have my students, and that's one of my dreams. I don't know.
Very good.
I also have another dream, if it's possible, I don't know, I'm not sure if I can come back, but work as a surgeon in a hospital, it can be a possibility too.
Very good. Now, what kind of surgery? Periodontology?
Really, yeah, not periodontology. Some accident or some reconstruction. Yes, I've thought about this, and maybe it can be for really future. Maybe I don't know.
Very good. Yeah. How about a personal mantra or motto that you live by?
Really have a mantra. I will mention this. Try to do my best and the best will come. That's my motto. Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Yes.
What one piece of advice would you give someone that's coming into the dental world right now?
Don't be technician. Really, don't focus on the teeth only. Try to see the patients as a whole world, a whole universe.
Yeah. No.
And the mouth can bring a lot of information about what's happening in the patient's body, nutrition part, even systemic disease. So that's my recommendation about the next generation of dentists. I know people are busy and we try to facilitate things. And after all, okay, I do my job and go home and that's it. But we have a huge responsibility. We can kill patients with a tooth extraction. So it's not something easy and I would say ordinary. It's something very complex.
Very good. Now, if you were to go back to your 12-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give her?
I would say study more. Although I study, but I love studying, and I realized that really not when I was young. So study more, and do your best, and be less worried about people.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are too worried about people.
We're more worried about what they think than anything else, and it's really a waste of energy, isn't it?
Completely, because humans are so unstable. So if we rely on them, we are lost.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yes, we can't rely on humans at all. We can rely on God in the best we can do, and the best we can do every day to our lives. That's the one thing.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being with me tonight, Carolina. It has been a pleasure to interview you and share your story with the audience. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do so?
Yes, I can give you my email is you can put in the podcast.
I will put it underneath. Yes.
Yes, it's CAZILLI@hsph.harvard.edu.
Very good.
And yeah, they can contact me and I'll be happy to chat with them.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you
so much, Mary Jane.
Thank you so much, Carolina.
Thank you so much for listening to the Women in Dentistry podcast with Dr. MJ Hanlon. If you like our show and want to know more about us, check out our website, thewomenindentistry.com, or please leave us a review on iTunes. Join us for our next episode as we bring you another amazing woman leading the way for the next generation.